some people are upcoming artists and they don't necessarily even understand the structure of the music business in itself.
Sure.
Right? So now they want to actually start monetizing their content.
Sure.
Of course, it may be hard at the beginning, to monetize immediately as an upcoming artist. How do they start?
That's a tough one.
Okay.
It's like a guide to like help up and coming artists just kind of get the fundamentals right. I dropped the first issue, and it's really, that one speaks to more like figuring out your personal brand.
The Motswako tour, what a big deal, because we know the best of the best has been or even is involved in it. How did it happen? How did you guys get the call?
I mean, over the years we've worked with these guys and built relationships and kind of solidified ourselves, internally within the Motswako structure. You don't necessarily need to go speak to a lawyer. There's platforms online that assist in getting these things right. One that I can mention off the bat is Moti Africa. I think every artist should be on there, from trying to gain insights on how the music business works, from publishing and that kind of space. There's a lot of information, a lot of content there.
We're all about sharing the facts and teaching the tricks. Let's talk all things about music, the life of music. Let's engage about the rhythm. Let's talk about our passion for melodies, sound, and those beautiful classics. Let's get educated about these decibels we oh so dearly love. On this podcast, we talk about these politics. Welcome to Music Politricks. Sanbonani dumelang kere ekse nakalina ke nabusi marawaiti baba khulu baba dese bariki the Queen of Pitori, and welcome to another episode of Music Politricks. This is where music education is at. Okay, we are here to share all the facts and of course learn all the tricks from our wonderful expert guests. A big shout out to everybody who's tuned in on Spotify, who's tuned in on Apple Podcasts. We really do appreciate it, and also you go YouTube, really do appreciate it as well. But a majority of you are watching, however you're not subscribed, so please do the right thing and press that subscribe button. So I'm so excited for today's guest because he is an all-round creative. Okay, he's a rapper, 1/3 of Hash1, who have just returned from Botswana because they were just doing the things where Motswako is concerned. He's a music entrepreneur, and to be honest, looking at the world right now in terms of content, it's very important for musicians to get into the content space and most especially to monetize. Okay, so he is very well versed in that direction, and that's why this important conversation is happening and so much more. Nasi Tautona.
What it do? I'm good. How are you?
Sharp, straight out of Komutse.
Yeah. Geez, I haven't heard that term in a while.
Right?
Yeah,
I mean, you were quite young.
Yeah, I was a kid. I think that was like my first year in Joe. We're gonna drop that.
Okay.
That song. Yeah.
Jeez, and when was that?
My first year back was 2017. Yeah, that's when I like fully got into like the music thing, trying to understand the music business, how to release music, how to make money from music, and how to be an artist, I guess.
Okay. So, where are you from?
Originally from Maftown, born and raised. I was born in a village called Mahokwe, Mahokwe, and then grew up in the suburbs, go Riviera Park. But I mean, go Mafikeng. It's not like suburb of Mojosi.
Okay.
Less dust.
Okay.
That's green grass, but the vibes are still the same.
Okay.
But yeah, that's me.
When did you realize that you're a creative while growing up? I'm sure there's just that one incident. I
don't think I knew I was.
Okay.
Right. Growing up, I was kind of groomed to go into like the construction space. So since a kid, like I was like, I want to be an architect, and that was that. But in primary school I did Latin American and ballroom dancing and that kind of stuff.
So Karavanti moves almost.
I could, but it might cost you a little bit.
Okay, all right.
But yeah, I did that. That was like 98, somewhere there.
Okay.
Um, and then moving into high school, I was just an all-rounder playing sports,
Mm.
just getting involved anywhere where I could in
Mm.
terms of school activity. I was in the choir for the longest time.
Okay.
And near the end of my high school career, I did a play and I got a lead role in that play. And
Okay.
I remember my mom saw me in there and she couldn't believe it. She was like, dude, I think you should go study drama.
Wow.
But that time I'd already applied for quantity surveying and I went that route.
Okay.
During that process, that's when I really fell into like the music thing. First year, I remember I was writing rhymes on the bus to school in class, and my colleagues were like, "Boss, assignment, like, what's going on?"
Ish.
But I really fell into like the music thing, and really wanted to be an artist when I got to Joburg. And yeah, since then I've just kind of been working my way to understanding myself as an artist.
Yeah.
And I think, yeah, I kind of figured it out now. So,
And it's interesting it started with music because, as I said, you're an all-round creative.
yeah. I mean, the all around part of it kind of came from necessity. When I left uni, I worked in construction for about 5 years.
Okay.
And coming back to Joburg was like, "Ish, I don't want to do this. Like, it's not, but music wasn't really an option in terms of paying for my stay in Joburg, right?
Sure.
I needed some kind of solid income. And
Sure.
I came across an opportunity to work for a digital agency, and I learned how to be a graphic designer on the job, just out of necessity. Like, yo, how do you do that? And open Photoshop and figure things out. And
Okay.
from there, my career as a creative kind of started taking shape,
Okay.
and that's when I realized that I've got a lot of interest in that space, and I was good at it. So yeah, I kind of put my head down and started learning and figuring it out and seeing actually what is this thing, how can I apply it to my craft as a musician.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
So you've mentioned music, you've mentioned graphic design.
Yeah.
I know there are other ones, but I prefer for you to tell us.
Video editing,
Yeah.
content producing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've got my own label.
Mm-hmm.
I don't regard it as a record label.
Okay.
Right now I've really got my hands in the distribution and playing in the publishing space.
Okay.
And more strategy development and marketing, helping artists to build their own personal brands and how to market their music, how to stand out in this very, very noisy environment.
You can say strategy development, but it can be interpreted in different ways.
I mean, it depends what the end goal is, right? So my first job outside of construction was for a digital marketing agency, and our biggest client was TurnUp Music, which was a music distributor of sorts. So they played a lot in the space of ringback tones, collar tunes, that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Right? So I was mostly involved in like the promo of that content. Finding artists, creating content to promote the platform, to promote the artist. So, coming up with segments for YouTube and social media.
Sure.
Creating artworks, creating marketing banners, those kind of things. And yeah, during that space, you'd find artists coming through to consult, and my boss, Indiana Cole, who was my kind of mentor in this space, we kind of talk artists through like, yo, this is how you need to think about your music career. These are the possibilities. And with TurnUp Music, the kind of core selling thing was like, artists don't make money with their music. So how do we enable artists to make money from their craft, right? So that kind of strategy part of the game came from just having conversations with different artists that were doing well, but some of them found themselves in lucky situations. Some of them found themselves in tricky predicaments. And it's like, ish, how do I navigate this space? And my advice was always like, be independent, right?
Sure.
Figure out what that means for you and what you're trying to do, but be independent. Don't depend on a label or anything because it gets tricky down the line.
Yeah, and that's the thing down the line because
Yeah.
you have to play the long game.
You have to play the long game.
Yeah, it's very tricky. So now I love that you talk about TurnUp Music, you know, because obviously there was TurnUp Music TV and you were also involved in the platform, Khuli Chana and Lamiez Holworthy.
Yeah.
Both of them were somehow generating money. And when we look at it intricately, you are monetizing content. It's so important in this day and age, especially for musicians, because as you said, they have to find other means of making money.
100%. That's the end goal. That's, you know, if you want to call it publishing your music, publishing your content, it's like you've created the product, it's in front of people, but in the ecosystem that we live in now with streaming and easy access to content, everybody's creating content.
Yeah.
How you stand out also is how you monetize, right? A lot of the time now it's brand deals, you know. I mean, if we look at TikTok, for example, I don't think there's a creator fund in South Africa. So you don't get paid for the views and all of that like they do in America, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of content creators are building up their credibility online, building up their brand, and then leveraging that to get paid by brands for whatever marketing needs that brand may need.
Okay.
Right? That's the formula. Another way is brands kind of giving you money to create content that makes the brand look good. Affiliate marketing. There's all sorts of ways to monetize. And that's just content. And then on the music side of things, you know, it's radio and streaming. Streaming doesn't have money. YouTube, as a small artist, you're not going to see a lot of income from that. So you have to really think long and hard about how do I monetize the actual product? Because for artists now, real money is from performing. Right? So
That's a fact,
content is the way the world is moving. So if you're not tapping into that space in creative ways, then yeah.
So on the projects that you've worked on where you helped musicians monetize content, what was the approach? How exactly did you like go from start to beginning to ensure that we
So I guess my whole thinking was understanding the model of TurnUp Music, right? And the services that were available to us as a business. We had great relationships with Vodacom and MTN, and we leveraged those to be advantageous to the artist. So I'll give you an example. With every month we'd have like top 10 artists that we'd focus on. And there was a marketing budget that was dedicated to promoting those artists and that particular song, which was mainly the RBT. And then also, you know, the streaming on Jukes or wherever the artist has their content available. So downloads on Vodacom, MTN, Jukes were our main focus. And then we created a platform as TurnUp Music where we generate content for audiences to watch. So we had a segment called TurnUp Music News, where on a weekly basis we'd inform the audience about upcoming artists, music, that kind of thing, you know, and shoot it and produce it well, that it's entertaining. We would assist artists to develop their own content that would live on our platform. I remember during COVID, we teamed up with Chad Seyman, who was based in Cape Town at the time. And he developed a, I don't want to say Zoom TV show thing, right? So we'd interview artists over like a Zoom call, right? But we'd record it and produce it in a way that it makes sense. And it, you know, get some interviews done, but we'd get a brand partnership for him so that at least there's some kind of value add from trying to monetize that content. Right. So little things like that, they they matter for the artists. It's opportunity to monetize. So artists would come to us with ideas, and we're like, is it feasible for us? Does it work for any of the brands that we have? Yes, no, maybe, and then figure it out and maybe develop a strategy around that.
But in a world where we're saturated by so much content, I mean, there's Boma YouTube, people have made or have started to make content specifically for TikTok, their own social media platforms. Is it worth it to start your own platform?
Yeah, definitely is. But it's like we said earlier, you got to play the long game, right? So the idea blow up. Whenever I talk to artists, it's like they think that one song is going to be the game changer for them, right? No. I'll use Casper as an example. Like Doc Shebeleza was tried and tested in front of crowds for a very long time before it caught, right? And had he just had that one song, it doesn't mean that it was guaranteed for him to blow up. He had to follow up. Before Doc Shebeleza, there was other songs, and with each song, you just climbing higher and higher up the ladder, but the work has to be consistent, right? It's the same with anything, with the content space. Like, you have to be consistent. You have to do it every day. You have to learn every day. You have to grow every day. And the cost of entry is, you have to sacrifice yourself in the sense that you might not like yourself.
The Dreamstream studio in Randburg is a full-service studio on Bromfisher Drive. It's perfectly suited for podcast, music recordings, and general video recordings. Backed up by an experienced editing and production team means you can walk in, record, and walk out knowing that everything will get done as you require. Our mobile gear ensures we can cover your video and live streaming needs on location too. We got the cameras, the lights, and the action to make you and your brand shine. Contact us now, studio@dreamstream.co.za, and we'll make it happen. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
Your perception of yourself, when you look at yourself, you're like, I feel awkward.
Yeah.
So that period is very daunting. I know I struggled with it. It's taken me like 3 years to be comfortable enough to speak in front of camera, speak to people about what's on my mind.
Oh, okay.
It's uncomfortable. Because naturally, especially if you're doing content that you're alone in front of camera, you might end up being like this performative character that's outside of yourself. So finding your rhythm in that space is tricky. And then the audience might not respond the way you want them to. So that's another learning. You have to figure out what do they resonate with? What are they not resonating with? It's all a learning. So it might take a long while before you start seeing the rewards of the work.
And it's very important that you say that a long while before you start seeing results, right? Because some people are upcoming artists and they don't necessarily even understand the structure of the music business in itself, right? So now they want to actually start monetizing their content. Of course, it may be hard at the beginning, to monetize immediately as an upcoming artist. How do they start?
That's a tough one. I mean, I've been upcoming since I don't know. I've been at this game, bruh, and like the money from the streams, it's small. It's small, and I'm an artist that doesn't get a lot of streams, but I get enough at least, to maintain creating the music. But I think you have to kind of look at the ecosystem holistically and figure out where you fit in. I mean, platforms like Spotify and all of that, these streaming platforms are now billboards for your content. So the approach, I think, should be, once you've created the song, or even in the process of creating the song, what are you creating it for? Is it for an audience? Are you trying to get, more involved with like the sync side of the music business.
And that's a fair
you know,
chat.
yeah. Are you making music for TV? Are you making music for radio? Are you what are you making the music for? Is it just for people to enjoy? Cool. It's for the people to enjoy. Then you must realize that, okay, then from a streaming point of view, there's going to be a lot of work to be done in order to get those high numbers.
100%.
Right? Is it going to be feasible? Because you have to market yourself. If you have to go and get a team that's going to help you market yourself, there's PR costs, there's, your advertising costs, there's radio plugging, there's all sorts of things and all these things cost hefty.
Yeah.
Music videos, all of that stuff, right? And what I've done for myself over the years is try and figure out and close the gaps where I have to spend money. So creating my own content. Am I going to pay somebody to shoot this video and edit this video and come up with a concept?
Whereas you can do it yourself.
Now I do it myself, right? So you just try and close all the gaps where you're going to be spending money, so that whatever income that you come is can be directed back into the music. So there is no sure way of doing things. I think now the formula is like being more appealing to brands. Getting the brand bag is the way forward.
100%.
Yeah.
Hashwan, y'all have been together for a long time here.
Yeah.
And that's very cool because you guys are very solid. You make great music, super talented in your own individual rights, and even when you come together as a group, what's the thing? What's the thing? Because these days groups don't stay together.
Yo, man, I think for us it's organic. Like we're before the music we were homies.
Cool.
Mix and Sanji are older than me. They were my older brother's friends in high school, right? Mix and I lived in the same neighborhood. Sanji were family friends from when I was a kid.
Yeah.
So we know each other. We're like brothers, right?
Yeah.
And us making music together, essentially we started off under one label as solo artists. And then because there was a synergy in the kind of music we liked, and just our approach to rap was very different to everybody else in the label. It was less commercially appealing.
Cool.
But we kind of resonated with each other in that regard, and we developed our bond as artists from that kind of connection. And this is 2010. When we actually officially became Hashwan, 2010.
Jeez.
And since then it's just like, we resonate with each other. We like the same thing. And then it was just natural. So yeah. Hey man, change your verse. It's not dope.
Okay.
Like I think we're very candid with each other.
Okay.
We're realistic with each other.
Okay.
Like I said, we're brothers, so there's going to be disagreements, but there's a massive, massive amount of respect for each other. At the end of the day, we're different. We're grown. We're living different lives. So there's a massive respect for each other in that regard. So we understand the position that the music holds overall in each of our individual lives.
The Motswako tour, what a big deal, because we know the best of the best has been or even is involved in it.
Yeah.
Of course, Morafe, of course, Botuksi.
Yeah.
So to be involved in that is such a big deal. Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It's an honor to be mentioned with like the Motswako grades, right?
Yeah.
I think for me, that was always like the goal, right? That high regard as an artist, as an MC. Because I got into this thing seeing Bojaiba, seeing Khuli, being starstruck by Mulimi and stuff. And it's like, I never really thought my skill level would ever get there.
Gee.
So it's been something that I'm constantly striving towards. Like just getting that recognition of like, yeah, he's dope.
How did it happen? How did you guys get the call?
Over the years we've worked with these guys and built relationships and kind of solidified ourselves internally within the Motswako structure, which took some doing, but that final seal of approval I think came when we did our previous album Tenasu. We brought together a lot of the Motswako collective.
Nice.
And it just started creating a different narrative for the Hashwa name within the Motswako fraternity. So it was only natural for Todi to hit us up and be like, hey guys, this thing is happening. It started with Maftown Heights last year when they announced it's coming back. They're like, it only makes sense that you guys are part of the lineup, and then translating that into a Motswako tour. It just, it's relationships, man. Maintaining solid relationships with your peers. And yeah. It was busy, dog. Yo, it was dope. For me, it was dope. I've always had this connection with Botswana, but I've never really performed in Botswana.
Yeah.
And this was like that opportunity, like, yo, I'm going back home to really showcase in front of my people. And the response was dope. I was nervous in the sense that I didn't know if they know us like that, but they showed us so much love. Nice. People came out in numbers. Like, it was super dope. And the entire set was amazing. Like, everybody held it down, Naturally, we opened up the show, outside of the Botswana lineup.
Sure.
We kind of kicked it off, and it set the place on fire. It was dope. It was nice to see. It was nice to be a part of. Like,
I love that. And what's really cool about you, right, is the fact that you understand the music side of the business, the current generation or era we're in where music is concerned, which is content. And obviously, as a musician yourself, you're able to understand things a little bit deeper from the artist's perspective.
Yeah. And I don't know where that comes from. I assume that it's the natural progression as an artist. If you take your craft seriously and you treat it like a business, then you will understand all the moving parts of that business, right? But you find that's not the case most of the time, especially for up and coming artists. I don't want to speak for guys in the game, guys that have kind of solidified themselves.
Sure.
But just over the years dealing with different people and different artists, you realize like there's a certain level of professionalism that seems to get lost along the way. And like, for me, I that's one of the most important things, being respected and being a professional. Like, if I lose those two things, then everything else that I'm trying to do is not going to work.
Yeah, and you also won't be taken seriously. It's like, I bought every day, we're not lead. Nobody wants to work with people like that.
No, true. Look, man, it's really about you taking yourself seriously and being realistic. That's it. This idea about you blow up, I'm gonna blow. It's a delayed mentality. Like, put your head down, do the work, and you'll see the results. It's the same with anything that you do. If you want to be a lawyer, there's a path to follow. If you want to do this, there's a path to follow. Like, yes, there might be some luck involved here and there, but if you're not doing the work, if you don't have the right work ethic, you're not gonna get to that final goal.
It makes sense why you're putting a book together, right?
Yeah, I don't want to call it a book though.
Okay.
It's like it's a little handbook.
Okay.
It's like a guide to like help up and coming artists just kind of get the fundamentals right. I dropped the first issue, and it's really, that one speaks to more like figuring out your personal brand.
Okay.
Right? How to kind of place yourself in front of your audience in a way that's not right? So it goes to the simple thing, like when you're looking for an artist on social media, as an A&R, if I'm looking for an artist, I go to social media or I'll go to Spotify, I'll go there and I just want your things to fall in place. Like, I don't want to do deep research on ChatGPT. Like, just make it easy for people to discover you.
So at a glance, people should know this is what you're about.
100%. I can go there, I can go there quickly, and find everything I'm looking for. You know what I mean? But a lot of artists don't have that together. You know, you look for an artist on Facebook, ke Tabang, on Instagram, ke mang, and like, yo, where's the synergy? What's going on? You know, the way you're presenting your brand or yourself as an artist, you're busy fighting with people on Facebook.
Wait, nah.
Yeah, tagging arts and culture, saying all kinds of wild stuff, but yet you expect them to support you. It doesn't work like that, you know. It's the same approach when a company, our apply la span. Submit a CV, they go and do their research, background check. If they find something weird, it's like, it's chai time.
And
you know
even
what I mean?
when they recruit you, there's even a clause that speaks about how
100%.
you handle yourself on social media.
100%.
Yeah.
You know, it applies to you as an artist as well. Like, I know controversy sells and all of that, but in essay, like, I don't see that adding value.
Yeah.
You know, so just be professional.
Okay.
And I guess I'm trying to help artists understand the little intricacies, like practical things that you can do that won't cost you an arm and a leg.
Okay.
That you can do to just take your brand equity up a little notch.
And what are some of those things?
Branding yourself on social media, you know, understanding what your brand represents, you know, so having brand pillars.
Okay.
Right? Your name, what are your audience following you for?
Sure.
Having that narrative be very clear when somebody sees you, be it how you carry yourself, how you talk.
The Dreamstream studio in Randburg is a full-service studio on Bromfisher Drive. It's perfectly suited for podcast, music recordings, and general video recordings. Backed up by an experienced editing and production team means you can walk in, record, and walk out knowing that everything will get done as you require. Our mobile gear ensures we can cover your video and live streaming needs on location too. We got the cameras, the lights, and the action to make you and your brand shine. Contact us now, studio@dreamstream.co.za, and we'll make it happen. Dreamstream, a place to create yourself.
You know, when you're out doing interviews, you must understand immediately what your end goal is.
For sure.
What are the cool guy, or is there another message? Is that like you just study artists and see how they present themselves. There's always an underlying theme, you know. So figuring that out, finding creative ways to create content in ways that are not expensive.
Okay.
So understanding the purpose of a strategy, understanding what a rollout is, and understanding all the elements involved in a rollout. Even goes down to like knowing how to set up your back end portals, like to your Spotify for artists, your Apple Music for artists, being able to access your analytics, because all that stuff kind of informs what you're gonna do with the product that you're selling, right?
And who your audience
Who your audience is, right? It's really practical steps, really like a to-do checklist that you can go through every time you are releasing content.
Okay.
You know?
So the first one is personal branding.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm still working on the next two issues, which right now they're kind of merging into one thing, but that space is really left for how do you market yourself as an artist?
Yeah.
Where the money's at, you know, speaking on publishing, speaking on distribution, those kind of things.
Okay.
Yeah.
And in terms of practicality, with those things that you've actually mentioned now, what are the practical steps that an artist goes for and does in order to ensure her, okay, publishing is sorted, in order to ensure her, okay, my marketing is like this and this is the strategy? What are the physical, practical things they do?
I think paperwork. A lot of artists operate off, he said, she said type of vibe. Like paperwork is critical. If you're in studio, you do a song, have a split sheet template. Have the guys sign there, discuss it now, right?
Yeah.
Some producers will come to you and sell you a beat. Or even it goes down to like photography. Somebody will take some nice snaps of you, give you those pictures, you go post them on social media, cool. And then you make merch with that picture, and the photographer comes and says, hey bro, you owe me a bag because you didn't get a usage license from the photographer, right? So paperwork for everything that you do, making sure your metadata is up to scratch, knowing, you know, that you're registered with all the different bodies, you know, and that speaks to when it's time to chase and collect your money for your music. You don't have to necessarily do it. When you sign with a publisher like Shea, they're going to want your metadata.
Yes.
Are you then going to start from scratch and try and catalog 100, 200 songs?
Insane.
It makes no sense. So getting it right from the get-go, making it part of your habit every time you're in studio, every time, have those things, templates there. You know, how do you go? You don't necessarily need to go speak to a lawyer. There's platforms online that assist in getting these things right. One that I can mention off the bat is Moti Africa. I think every artist should be on there, from trying to gain insights on how the music business works, from publishing and that kind of space. There's a lot of information, a lot of content there. And also, if you're registered on the platform, you can get your split sheets and all of those contracts done on the platform.
Nice.
It'll issue, you know, an email to whoever collaborators are involved in the song. Just log in, type in the details, press send. Everybody gets a copy of that thing, you know, and you don't have to now worry about, hey, I must register. If I've got my split sheet, I can go register. I can go collect what was due to me, you know. So yeah, paperwork. I think that's the key focus for now for me.
In this country, I think in any country, it's not easy being a creative, eh? What has been the one thing that made you feel like, no, I give up?
I think for me it's being seen, man. Being seen is, and I don't know how to explain that, because, you know, support, as artists, we're very sensitive people. And support is very critical, and that comes in many different shapes and forms. So yeah, being seen and feeling like, you know, your people are rocking with you, and they show up in many different ways. That's been the toughest hurdle to get through. You know, I think I'm at a space now where I'm content with who I am as an artist, who I am as a creative, and the space I occupy. I've gotten my flowers from who I've gotten my flowers from, and that's enough. And I'm at a point where I just want to add value to the thing that I love, you know. And it's hard to navigate that space when people feel like, but you don't have the numbers to show in it. But yeah, I know what I'm talking about at the end of the day, right? Doesn't matter that I have 20,000 streams at the top end of my numbers, and the guy with the million streams knows nothing about what he's doing, and then goes and cries on a podcast about, hey, Wankolota. It's like, that would never happen to me, because I know what I'm doing, right? So I'm just trying to occupy that space of like having the important conversations about the hustle of being an artist, being a creative.
And now, how do you then learn or teach yourself to overcome that? Because I can imagine, yes, artists are very sensitive, and when you create music, it's to be consumed. So I can imagine that part of it plays a very big role. But how do you then start to teach yourself how to, like, and that overcoming phase?
I think the moments reveal themselves over time. Somebody said something very cool to me recently. They saw my content online. Don't know me from a bar of soap as a musician, but from that content, they were able to be like, okay, the conversation is super dope. And then it led to checking out my music, right? And then when I met them, they said that, sometimes you don't know what your music is doing for somebody else out there. So you might think that the likes and the shares and the praise online is what's going to show you that your product is dope and working. But there's a kid in a back room somewhere that might hear your song and it might affect them in a way that you might never know.
Yes.
Right? And once in a while, you'll meet that kid that'll come up to you and be like, yo,
Yeah.
man, this, that, and the other.
Yeah.
And those moments, for me, have been the thing that said, okay, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing.
That's so important.
Yeah. So holding on to that, I think, is key. You're not always going to get the praise and the this and the that. People show up when they show up at the weirdest times. I mean, another example is a couple years ago, this random dude, I'm walking down the street and I was about to say something funny to the guy. And then he turns around and he's like, yo, man, you're the dude, #1, right? Tanasu. Like, yo, keep doing what you're doing. I was like, random dude.
Yeah.
I didn't know this guy, but I was like, man, that made my day, right? And it gave me this boost of energy that I was like, okay, this is what I do it for.
Yeah.
Gore ke tlhagile ko TV, ke rileng, it doesn't matter. It's those moments that I hold on to.
You remind me of the approach of radio, because when people listen to radio, there's two types of listeners. There's the active listener who's going to send a voice note, who's going to make sure how they call in, who's going to actively participate with whatever's happening.
100%.
And then there's the passive listener.
Yeah.
Who you may say something, but nobody responded to themselves, whatever. However, they're not necessarily being active about it at
100%.
that time,
Yeah.
regardless of the fact that they are affected by it.
Yeah.
When they see you, then perhaps they're like, "Ish, wait a ne? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5." Because perhaps then the passive listener, in reality, is also an active listener.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. And you'll never know about that person.
Exactly.
You'll never know how you affected that person.
Exactly.
But just knowing that there's a possibility, I'm good with that.
What advice would you give to artists and to artists who want to monetize their music?
Ooh. One, be authentic. Be authentic to who you are. I think being empathetic towards the audience is a big thing. Not everybody's gonna rock with you. Not everybody's gonna get it. And don't let that affect the art that you're creating. 2 is educate yourself. Like, treat this thing like a business. Like, me coming up, I've always heard that the first 10% is creating the music. The 90 is getting it out there, making it work, making it make money.
For sure.
So there is no certified way of doing things. You just got to find your groove.
Yeah.
But you have to educate yourself. I mean, now the world is shifting to this massive digital and AI approach to everything.
Yeah.
So now you're competing with even more. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Having the tools available to you, these things exist. Learn how to use them to your advantage. Nobody's gonna save you, and nobody cares. So
That's real.
do it yourself, bruh. Like, honestly, nobody cares. Nobody cares. Everybody's an artist. Everybody can a rapper. Nobody cares.
And everybody's looking more out for themselves than for anybody.
Yeah. So you got to look out for you. That's it. Do what you love. Don't let anybody deter you from doing what you love, but also be realistic. And get a job, dog.
That's so
Right.
true. Oskido always talks about this, and I get it.
Yeah, just get a
It's so
job. Like,
true.
it's so much easier when you're making money and you can say, okay, ke a go tsenya 2,000 this month into the project.
Yeah.
You worked for that guap. And it doesn't make you any less cool that waspana. Like,
Yeah.
I've been doing this for the longest time, but 9 to 5 has always been my thing. Like,
In fact, it's more beneficial because you can invest in the
yeah,
music.
you know what I mean? It gives you the opportunity to, like, grow and I don't know, man. And also just being a productive member of society, being realistic with yourself, pay some tax. Know
Why
that
won't?
somebody else is depending on you.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know. Like most artists are like the idea of working is like so far fetched. It's like it's bizarre to them, which I don't get. And it doesn't have to be a long term thing, but it you need to approach it as a means to an end. And if you tell yourself for the next 5 years, I'm gonna get a job, work, maybe climb up the ladder, that also opens you up to networking opportunities. If you're working in the right space, like it doesn't have to be an office job, but get a job, some sort of income that is making you a productive member of society, waking up, structuring your life in a way that ka 5 ka studio, you know, like all of these things that you just become a better functioning human being. I don't know.
Hey, plus ke mo lefatsheng.
Yeah.
Ska lebala hore
You know what I
so oh wow.
How did you go and fela the whole day o cheats? O sa itse o irang, you know, nah, it's not gonna fly.
I feel that.
You know.
Nasi means nation.
Yeah, Nasi Tautona.
Which means I think president.
Yeah.
So pila when you're president of the nation.
Something like that. Something like that, you know. Yeah, Nasi is Afrikaans. I grew up being called Nasi. My grandmother, great grandmother, called all the babies, newborns, Nasi.
Okay.
Tomorrow's nation.
Okay.
Right? And Tautona just kind of stuck because I was I said it in a lyric and people started calling me Tautona. So I just put the two together.
Okay.
Tautona.
No, shout out, because to be honest, after this conversation, you're not just president of the nation.
Sure.
President of knowledge, president of information, president of actually ensuring that you're passing on information to the next solid generation of musicians and people who want to get into the space.
100%, man. And I think it's all about having the discourse, like sharing information, asking questions. I think my thing now is like, I don't know. I don't have the answers. I don't know some things, but I see a lot wrong, so I ask the questions. Like, what can we do as a collective or as individuals to improve the game?
Where do people get the handbook that is already out, and where do people get the music?
If you hit me up on social media, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, in my link in bio, there's a link to the handbook.
Okay.
It's on Gumroad. It's gonna be free after today.
Okay.
So by the time they see this, it'll be free.
Okay.
Yeah. Nasi Tautona on social media.
Okay. Shout out. Thank you so much for making the time.
It's been a pleasure.
Can't wait to have you back when the other books have dropped so that we can also talk a lot about that. It's very important. So big shout out. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I mean, these conversations are very important. So shout out to you and your platform. Glad I could add some value.
Thank you so much. I hope that you've enjoyed this just as much that I have, or as I have.
Yes, come on, let's go. Hey, man, the London is always lacking.
But it's all good. If you want to use the studio, maybe you want to record your own music or perhaps shoot your own podcast, all you got to do is just send that email. It is info@dreamstream.co.za. Make sure I get subscribe. It is music Politricks everywhere on the social platforms. From Nasi Tautona and myself, Kalina Kibusi, Baba Khulu, Baba Des, Baraki the Queen of Pitori, and we are outie.
Peace.